Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do a breakdown video talking everything that you need to know about doing a VK swap on your Xterra or Frontier. We're going to go over all the parts that I have on mine, both OEM and aftermarket. We're going to talk about different things that you need that are required to do the swap, and just overall thoughts and reviews after having this project done for about 9 months now. My experiences. Obviously, we're running 38-inch tires right now in the summertime. What is that like with the V8 and that kind of thing? So without further ado, let's jump right in, pop the hood, and take a look at what we got going on. All right, so underneath, obviously we have the Titan VK56, 5.6 liter V8, paired with the Titan transmission as well. You can also still use the stock Xterra transfer case if you'd like. You can swap the Titan transfer case if you do choose to, but it's not required. However, the Titan transmission is required. The other thing that you need from the Titan is the ECM or the ECU. Without that, you cannot do this process, and it is required in order for the engine to run and work properly. So one thing to know about that, if you're going to do a donor Titan, make sure the Titan that you get is a console shift or a center console shift instead of a column shift. The column shift Titans, just for whatever reason, there's a slim chance that the ECM from the column shift Titan is not going to work properly, and it's going to cause some issues, which happened to me. We didn't know that going into the project, but in the end, we ended up taking a ECM from an Armada, V8 Armada, which has the same type of engine and everything as well. So you can do a donor Titan, or you can do a donor Armada to get the engine and transmission, or you can just buy them separately and do that. The other thing that you will need from the Titan is the engine harness. Now, the engine harness is going to have to be modified and spliced with your Xterra harness. So that is one of the longest waiting periods of doing this project, and because there's only one guy that does it. Brennan with Driven Desire is the guy that does it. So if you're going to be doing this, I would go ahead and try and get that harness taken care of right away, because that is usually what takes the longest with this project. Now, moving from the OEM parts, we now are moving to the aftermarket parts. And a lot of these parts are supplied directly from Z1 Off-Road. They do a lot of aftermarket and OEM products that are great for the Nissan community. So starting off, we have the Z1 Off-Road cold air intake with a custom charge pipe, because obviously the Xterra charge pipe comes around a lot further. So you have to do a custom piece there. We do have that paired with the airflow snorkel, as we did before with the V6. Custom work underneath here for the connection between the airbox, because Z1 Off-Road currently does not have an adapter for a snorkel. Moving forward, we have the Z1 Off-Road ignition coils for the VK56 to get some extra spark power and hopefully improve some performance there as far as gas mileage and horsepower and torque. In addition to that, we also have the CJD Racing E-fans for our cooling. We have that paired with the stock Xterra radiator at the moment. And with it being so hot in Utah right now, we are running into some overheating issues. So to remedy that, we are going to be putting in a new aftermarket radiator that should be here fairly soon. All right, so moving on to the exhaust. Everything, the exhaust bag is aftermarket and performance oriented. So starting off with the headers, we have Cajun B-pipe shorty headers, and the reason we went with shorty headers is primarily due to emissions and getting the vehicle registered, because currently my truck is still registered in Maryland, and we got to get that switched over to Utah soon. So that is why we went with the shorty headers. The biggest benefit of the shorty headers, obviously, like I just said, is the registration and emissions purposes, but also the low end torque is a little bit better with the shorty headers than you would get with a long tube header. That a lot of the guys that do like desert racing or desert setups we'll use the long tube headers. And then paired with the shorty headers, we have KGB pipe performance catalytic converters, just to help reduce the restrictions and keep that airflow up, to help keep that performance numbers as high as we can. And then moving back to the actual muffler, we have a Borla racing muffler. Right now the muffler is actually dumping right before the axle. Previously it was dumping all the way back normally, but one of my exhaust hangers broke, so I took that piece off, and now it dumps right here after the muffler. And let me just tell you guys, if you have not had pleasure of driving a vehicle with a V8, like I'm sorry for you. Like, it is absolutely incredible. I absolutely love it, and it allows me to run these 38-inch tires with almost no issues. Like, there is a little bit of it does feel a little bit sluggish sometimes when you're going up a hill, when you're on a real long road trip, but still, when you get to that low range in the 4 low and you put that locker on, it'll just absolutely crawl and eat up everything that you throw at it. So the V8 is definitely, like, the Xterra should have came with a V8. Let's just leave it at that. But yeah, so absolutely love it. And this is one of the best upgrades that you can do if you have the budget to do so. I mean, when it's all said and done, out of pocket, it was about $7,500, including labor, for me to do this project. And there was a guy locally, Zach, who helped me out. And without him, this project would have not happened. And we would have put another V6 back in there when I blew up the original one. And so thank you to all of you who watched me and commented on my stories and recommended Zach to me, and allowing this type of project to happen so I can share it with you guys. All right, so moving on to the install process. Now, everyone always asks about, like, how hard is it to install the V8? And to be honest, like, I helped Zach do it, and we had it, once it was ready to go in, we had it installed and bolted in less than 5 minutes. Like, it is insane how easy it is to do it. It just slides right in. And
That's what she said.
You need to keep that.
it slides right in. It bolts right up to the stock engine mounts that are on the frame. The transmission mounts are the same, and then everything else, like Zach did, was just aftermarket, getting everything bolted in there. The headers in there, the exhaust in there. He custom fabbed the exhaust up, and yeah. So I mean, it really, like I said, is really not that challenging of a project to do. The biggest challenge is the electrical components. So you have to get the engine harness, like I mentioned before, and then you also have to get a custom tune. You have to disable the security system that comes on the Nissan so that your key still works. So you will have the little, like, car icon in the center of your dash always on, just because that is permanently disabled, so the engine will run. And then another thing that we did that was performance oriented, we did a different like a custom tune with different maps that we could choose. So just a standard, like, unleaded tune, we had a valet mode, a security mode, and then we also added a race tune, so you can run race fuel, which is pretty sick. I haven't actually tested it out yet, but we're gonna take the tent off, take the awning off, take it to the dunes, and put some race fuel in it and let it rip at some point. The custom tune is really nice to help also increase your gas mileage. You can adjust your throttle position sensitivity, and you can also increase those performance numbers as well to really take advantage of all those aftermarket parts that you have thrown into this to make it as best as it can be. All right, and now the moment we've all been waiting for is some audio clips. We're gonna get a startup, we're gonna get some revs in. Hopefully it's early enough that the neighbors won't get too mad. So let me get the mic in position and let's do some audio clips. Well, there you have it, guys. Absolutely insane. The sound of the V8 is just incredible. I cannot stress and explain it and put it in words how much different the rig feels and drives with the V8 compared to the V6. Like, absolutely insane. Like, running 38s on the highway at 80 miles an hour, I feel like would not be possible with the V6. Like with 410 gears, by the way. A lot of times when people run 37s or larger tire, they're running 456s unless they're doing a full like axle swap. But we have 410s in here right now with the V8, and I can drive this as a daily driver, and I am doing it as a daily driver, and absolutely love it. Like, it's absolutely insane. I keep saying insane, but that's because that's the best word to describe it. Like, no other words can describe how beneficial this project has been to the rig. And now, like, let's talk about something that everybody's going to ask in the comments, like, what is my gas mileage? 1, we have a V8. 2, we have 38-inch tires. In the wintertime, we're running 37s by 14.5 with studs. Like, the gas mileage has to be awful. It is. But compared to the 35s, I ran the V8 with the 35s for a while, and comparing that from the mileage with the 35s to the 37s and the 38s for both the winter and the summer, the mileage really hasn't changed. When I'm driving at highway speeds with the 37s and the 38s, the RPMs are much lower with the 37s and the 38s at highway speeds because the engine is working less to keep that speed up. So right now with the 38s cruising at 75 miles an hour, the RPMs are about 2200 RPMs. With the 35s at that speed, they were at 2500 RPMs. Not that much of a difference, but just keeping that RPMs just a little bit lower is enough to keep the gas mileage pretty comparable in my experience. Obviously the truck is incredibly heavy. We've got steel armor all the way around. We have a 200-pound rooftop tent, 100-pound awning, and then obviously the spare tire in the rear, which also is absolutely super heavy. With all of that weight on there, the truck drives really, really well. It blows me away because something this heavy should not be as comfortable to drive as a daily driver, because this is my only vehicle. This is what I drive to work every day, and sure, I fill up twice a week, but that's okay. Right? It's miles per gallons, right? All right, guys, there you have it, the VK swap in the Xterra platform. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys are going to be doing this project and you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, because I know it's hard to find good information out there. There's forums, obviously, but sometimes it's hard to understand what they're saying in there. So if you have questions, send me a DM, send me a comment on this video, and I will do my best to answer every single one of those questions that you may have to help you do this project. So again, there you have it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. We got plenty of content coming out soon, and be on the next one.